So, sorry I'm back. So in that case, do I believe that I attracted who I was? Yes. There are other points in my life too where I would say I attracted who I was as well in acquaintances, because I never really had friends, at least middle school, high school, grade school. I never had friends. Um, but other than that, sorry, I'm distracted right now. But but I also believe that you can attract people. Here's where stalking comes in, because you're not who they are. My second stalking situation, um, stalkers, depending on who they are, mine was not an incompetent suitor stalker. All my stalkers have been female. Um, there may have been a male in the first bout that of stalking that assisted, but which is quite possible, but he was not the main player in that. So, my second bout of stalking was because I was too nice. And my other situations in my life was codependency. What I had ingrained in me from younger ages, dealing with borderline personality behavior sibling, dad, and very narcissistic mother, is they could not deal with my sibling. So I had to walk on eggshells in every facet of my life. One, because my sibling would come home with all these stories that weren't true. Monopolize all the people, because we were homeschooled. Monopolize all of the people at church or co-ops or wherever. Even if she didn't like them, even if she later dissed them in the future, or in the later dissed them and never really liked them, she needed to have all the people on her side. So smear campaigns aren't something I realized that in my healing journey. Smear campaigns, narcissistic behavior, drama triangles, those types of things is, the Cartman's triangle, those things were not new to me at all. I just didn't realize it. There wasn't a name for it. I didn't know what those were. So it created the codependent person in me. So even when I would see things that were wrong, and I would admit I did not, especially when I was in pain, I didn't always handle things with great tact, which of course was used against me by people. But it bred in me this: you should never see anything wrong about somebody else. It has to be you. In fact, I was told that basically there was everything wrong with me, and that I was perceiving things wrong. Random diagnoses that aren't true were bantered about. That's how I know people who appeared to be disordered are obsessed with mental illness. They're obsessed with the DSM, whatever was out at that time. They're obsessed with somebody being mentally ill. They're the first ones to accuse people of being mentally ill because it can't be them. There's nothing wrong with them. It's everyone else. So, especially the cluster Bs is what I'm talking about. Now, I don't know paranoid people or those types of schizotypals would say, like, there's something wrong with everybody else because they're scared of people. But cluster Bs definitely think it's not them, especially higher up in the borderline personality that you go. There's nothing wrong with them. It's everyone else. And everyone else needs to stop victimizing them, and then their life would be perfect. That's how I know what I know about things. That's when it makes me laugh when these not armchair, but these gatekeeping psychologists or whoever say, well, you don't know what you're talking about. Number one, we live in the internet age. And number two, if I told you exactly what I experienced, lying blatantly, taking joy in other people being attacked, scapegoating me, every diagnosis known to man was flung at me, and no actual doctor outside of the one they recruited agreed with any of them. So there's an actual doctor, many actual doctors who don't agree with them. I was diagnosed with autism, which I thought was, even now, is complete BS. Number one, I was never, and this is the thing, and I learned this from an actual psychologist and another person who has a personality disorder, not in the cluster Bs. He basically said, if you have not been given like this big sheet of however 101 questions and all this testing, and then they check in with you again, and even the lady, the Buddha bitch, Buddha and bitch with the E in it, who had extreme borderline personality disorder, that's another story. She even confirmed it. You have to recheck with them and keep doing that. Like, I never actually had a diagnosis of anything. To be honest, I never was diagnosed with depression, even though I agree I had depression. Deep depression. Or at least I was depressed. Never was officially diagnosed with that. Never was officially diagnosed with anxiety. Never was officially diagnosed with bipolar disorder. Never at all. I was just slapped on pills. Never was diagnosed with autism. Because I know for that, the testing for that is expensive. It is expensive. That's why a lot of people who are lower income diagnose themselves, and I don't advocate for that, but I understand the sentiment behind it is, well, how do you expect someone to get an official diagnosis and then get treatment from that if it's so expensive? So I never got an official anything. I was dragged to all of these things. Never, anything that I said was false. So if you're a psychologist out there, what is that called? Where two people get to spout out whatever they want. None of it's based in reality, and all of it's based on a borderline person who has self-hate issues and their own issues with themselves, so that they've regurgitated to their parents who also are disordered. The scapegoat can't say anything. And this is the story. And when I went to certain other spaces, it was the same story as everybody else. The child is ignored because the parents know everything. Mama knows best. especially if she's off. So, and we don't care. She's still the parent. And he, the dad, even though there's a litany of things I could say about them, very borderline behavior themselves, forced conversation, argue, the argue, explain, revert, all that they do. So I just find it, especially him, you'll have to explain things, every decision that you make that he just doesn't like, as if you are a brain surgeon and you still won't get it. Not that I do this now, but back then. No, I don't get it, so it's not going to happen. Even though you explained it in the most simplest of terms that a toddler could understand. But these are the people who should be in charge of somebody's health. That's why I don't believe parents should have complete control of their children's health. This person can't understand anything. Or they're choosing not to, and this person has a doctorate degree and worked for years, a number of years. And sometimes I wonder about that, but anyway. But they say borderline people, some of them can function well out in society. I believe he's one of the quiet ones that unleash hell on their family. But they're nice to everybody else. And that's also the issue I have with, well, they're nice to me. Yeah, because they're either you're a useful idiot, or there's nothing that they need to use you for. You're not the target of what they're doing. There's nothing they can use you for. But anyway, the things I could literally list. I never had any say in my mental health treatment because I don't know anything, quote unquote. So I never filled out those big questions. I bet they're all on screens now. Never. I had no say in anything. I was a liar. Everything I said was ignored. And, well, these bogus diagnoses, and that's the other thing, too. That's why disordered people do that. That's why they love the DSM-5. Is because, and I've spoken to people. There was one girl I spoke to, a lady, who I spoke to. She was literally thrown in inpatient as a child. Wanna guess? And I notice a pattern with the favored diagnoses of these disordered people they like to diagnose their kids with. Guess them. Schizophrenia, borderline personality disorder, autism, bipolar, and I don't remember what else. So if you're schizophrenic, you're imagining everything. That's great for an abuser. Well, they're just seeing the flying codfish everywhere. And the fairies talk to them. You know, why are you listening to them? Autism, what I was told is, well, autistic people think people are doing things that they're not. So they can't really accurately tell you what happened. That's what was told to me by my mother. And not one autistic person I've ever met actually experienced that. And this was not the 90s. This was like when I was 18 years old. This was not even the 90s, where people were ignorant and thought only boys had autism and stuff like that. So borderline personality disorder, which I do admit will be used, it comes in handy with abusers, actual abusers, because, well, then you're perceiving threats that don't exist. You're bipolar, so that's why she's upset, or a person's upset, is because they flew off the handle because they have a mental disorder, not because I mentally torture them every single day of their life. Make them feel like nothing, scapegoat them, tell them there's nothing that they do that's right, treat everybody else in the house differently than them, and then say, well, parents treat their... No, they don't do that. Stop that, or the other BS. Well, you don't know what we say to your siblings when you're not there. I know for certain you're not talking to them like you do me, number one. you don't even mess with her at all. You're scared of her. So